Have you ever stopped to think that maybe our dogs to have a sense of awareness that goes beyond what we can understand? Just think. One evening, a young woman resting peacefully in his room without suspecting that the devil is going to come close to it. Everything seems to be calm, to quiet, to a routine that seems safe and secure. But all of a sudden, something different begins to happen. Have you ever gone through something like this? The feeling that something is not right, even without knowing exactly what. It's as if an invisible force was warning him, a reminder that just for our furry friends seem to be capturing a feeling of the extraordinary. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now. You will be surprised from the truth. The story that I'm going to share with you today is about a dog who, even before any visible sign of an earthquake, he began to act in a way that is totally different from the usual. While the house was in absolute silence, the behavior of a dog has started to become more and more intense. It was almost as if he were feeling a different energy in the air. And it is this sudden change in attitude, it would have been the one who ended up saving his life from a young age. Have you ever heard of the animal which they seem to sense something before it happens? As it is, this is a vivid proof of this ability is almost supernatural that and the dogs have. If you like touching stories that show how our pets can be a true hero, stay with me. Because what comes next will bring you to hold even more of the details that will make you question everything you think you know about the natural instinct of an animal. And if you think that dogs have a sixth sense, and be prepared to be surprised that you can change his point of view on these fellows are so special. In the next section, we will see how it all started that night, which seemed to be normal, but staying in it is a lesson of courage, faith, and feelings. If you've ever had a similar experience, or know of the stories of the animals seem to sense something before it happens, leave us a comment of what you touched or surprised. Your opinion is very important, and it helps to create a community where we can share those amazing experiences and to strengthen our connection with the animal world. Enjoy video. It is also a way to show that you value this content, and that has made all the difference, so that more people can discover their stories, exciting and meaningful. In addition to this, if you want to continue with this type of story, tips and stories that inspire us to further enhance our friends, please subscribe to the channel. Your participation is very important for this space to grow and to reach more people and continue bringing you the content that arouses the emotions and enhance our understanding of the world of animals. After all, it is this the exchange of experiences and knowledge, just because you're in here, and he was interested, curious, and willing to learn more. So don't leave it to interact with each other, because each and every comment on enjoy each subscription help us to build the community that believes in their sensitivity, fairness, and love dogs and other animals have for us. Keep watching, because there is still so much more for you to discover, and we continue to expand the network of stories that show how much they are always ready to protect us and surprise us. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the story of that day is just one of the many that show just how much our dogs have a feeling that defies any rational explanation. When everything seemed to be peaceful in the house of this man, the behavior of a dog has started to change, almost imperceptibly at first, but quickly became more intense. It was as if he was picking up on a vibe, an energy he escaped to the human understanding. And it is this perception that it often goes unnoticed by us, which is the key to understanding the true connection between humans and animals. A look behind the scenes of this relationship shows that, on the back of all of the loyalty and affection, there is an intelligent, emotional, and sensory. We're still a long way from understanding it completely. One animal, aware of every movement, every change in the atmosphere, it began to show signs of warning, which seemed to be almost intuitive. His attitude changed, and the eyes were fixed, and he went into the house, the way you move, as if he was trying to warn someone about something serious was coming. When the young man noticed that the agitation suddenly, she thought at first that it was just anxiety or a reaction to the exhaustion. After all, it is in your daily routine. It's not uncommon for our dogs to be upset by loud noises or stimuli, that is, for us to go unnoticed. But as she watched, she noticed that there was something different about the intensity of that behavior. The dog seemed to be on a mission in a desperate quest for attention, as if he was trying to convey a message that only they could understand them. And in a way, this is the sensation that there is a communication. In addition to that, we can hear that's what makes it so mysterious and fascinating. After all, we're talking about creatures that seem to be a sensory perception is heightened, which can detect changes in the environment that we have not even imagined. A flutter on the ground, a change in the magnetic field, or even a power that manifests itself in a way that we are yet to understand fully. At this moment, the young man began to be intrigued as to why, since it's something inside it, and he said that it wasn't only a typical response for a dog. Maybe it was a hunch, a feeling that it was not designed, but at that moment, it seemed clear as the truth hidden. And, in this connection, that perception has an almost supernatural dogs to have. It is something that stirs up an interesting point, deep in the U.S. How do they make you realize that you are beyond the reach of our senses? There is a truth that hides in the way that they interact with the world around you? These questions seem to be struck in our mind, especially when you are witness to a story like this, that seem to defy logic and reveal to us how much we have to learn from these beings are so special. From that moment on, everything changed. A young lady decided to keep a closer look at each movement of a dog, not realizing that hiccup wasn't a fluke, but it's a sign of something bigger than coming in from the outside world. And then, as she tried to understand what could possibly be going on, with a sense of urgency, he began to grow inside of her. It was as if she were standing in front of a door that opens up to a new understanding, a revelation that could change the way we see the connection between human beings and animals. And at the same time, in the sense that there is a truth that is hidden, that people don't know how to perceive it, it becomes more and more apparent. Because in the midst of the mystery, it becomes clear that our dogs often have a perception of what going above and beyond what our eyes can see. And it is this perception that it seems almost mystical, is that it can reveal some of the behind the scenes of their emotional intelligence and sensory disabilities that we are going to. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the connection between the dog and the environment around you is something that defies any logical explanation, but at the same time, it reveals a truth that hides many of you still do not know him. When the young man began to realize that increasing unrest in the behavior of a dog, and she had no doubt that it is something out of the ordinary, was going on. At that moment, the realization of her relation to her, and she began to pay attention to details that we would appear to be negligible. Each and every movement of the animal, each staring into the horizon, it seemed to carry a significance that only dogs are able to pick. And then, when you drill down on that hunch, she's starting to figure out that the dog was feeling was not just an emotional response or a single anxiety, but a warning. It is a preparation of a gut feeling for something that is close to them. That night, it became a sort of portal to a journey of discovery, where an emotional connection with your best friend is revealed to be the one that she had never experienced before. The impact of the understanding of these animals, and they have a sensitivity that goes beyond the joint, which causes many people to rethink their decisions and the way they perceive the world that surrounds them. Because really, this is a story not just about a dog and felt an earthquake, but when it comes to the revelation that there are so many behind the scenes hidden from our coexistence with their pets. Behind the scenes, even when it revealed, they can transform our way of thinking, to open our eyes to a new understanding about life, the universe, and above all, the love is real. From that moment on, the young man went on to reflect on the importance of being more aware of the little clues that the dogs would leave. Such a vibration is the strongest at the hearing, a change in the position or even the posture of the alert that she had not noticed before. These signs are often there, invisible to those who do not develop a much deeper connection, but one that carries a message powerful, protective, and caring. And then, upon realizing this, she began to understand that they have a kind of inner radar, the ability to capture the subtle changes in the environment that are beyond our understanding. Makes sense. It brings about a transformation in the way that she views the relationship with his dog, who happens to be not only his happiness, but also a guardian and a source of revelation about what really goes on behind the scenes from our daily lives. Each and every detail of what she went on to remark brought a new layer of understanding about the impact these animals have on our lives, as if they were a gateway to a dimension where the invisible becomes visible, where the drive becomes a tool for survival. At this time, as it turned out, the impact of such a strong connection, which is based on trust and confidence and sensitivity, it is able to change our way of thinking and giving way to a deeper understanding of what is the real truth. After all, it came to pass that night. That was a concrete proof that there's more to a relationship between a human and a dog. That's just friendship and loyalty. There is a real exchange of energy, a change of perceptions. That is, if we learn to listen, you can uncover many hidden truths about the world we live in. All of this reinforces the idea that many of the times, these people do have a sensitivity that goes beyond the rational mind can comprehend. They notice changes in the environment, the energy, the vibe, and that too often, in this sense, is a way to protect those they love. It's like they have a sixth sense, an ability to read which is yet to be discovered by us. And this deep connection is, without a doubt, one of the biggest events in the journey of life. And to learn how to listen to these signals, it can make all the difference. Because deep down, that the story is a constant reminder that there's a truth that hides an ancient wisdom that the dog you carry inside you, and that when accessed, you may completely transform the way people see the world, to make decisions and to love. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that connection is so subtle and powerful that it is between the dog and the environment around it reveals a truth that hides many of you are still far from understanding. When we think about the sensitivity of these animals is often limited in this capacity, and its instinct for hunting or protection, but it goes far beyond that. This is a perception that seems to involve all of the senses, a kind of inner radar that senses the vibrations, energies, and changes that they would escape entirely to the rational mind can comprehend. It's almost as if they were in a sort of sixth sense, the ability to pick up signals that we are not even realizing it. And it is this sensitivity, it is one of the reasons why they often seem to believe you are in catastrophic events, such as earthquakes, tornadoes, or even a disease, that is, before any visible sign appears. In order to understand this journey of transformation, it is important to recognize that, in this connection, it is not only a matter of instinct, but of sensibility, and emotional and energetic that they will develop in the course of their lives. This is a truth that is even more evident when we look at stories like the one from that night. The impact of realizing that it's a dog's can be a real keeper, a messenger of the truth that is hidden, completely changed our way of thinking. When you open your eyes to this reality, we can begin to think about how much we are limited in our understanding of the world and how we can learn from these people who seem to be in tune with the frequency that we are still trying to decipher. Each and every sign, every behavior, every look, it's a gateway to a universe of information. A lot of times, they remain invisible to those who do not develop a much deeper connection. This is a journey of discovery, leads us to think more widely about the impact it has on our lives. When we learn how to listen to and observe these signs, we came to understand that our relationship with the outside world does not have to be based on the notion of a rational cause and effect. There is a dimension that is more subtle, and someone who can help us to take decisions, to act with more empathy, and a true connection to the environment in which we live. It is this connection that allows us to see that, very often, behind the scenes of our reality, and hide information that you only or all of our pets are able to pick. And in this view alone, it is a powerful tool for transformation, is able to open new perspectives in our journey of self-discovery and evolution. When you realize all of this, It is clear that they are not just by our side, by the way. They carry the ancient wisdom, is a finely tuned sense that it invites us to see beyond what is visible to you. This wisdom is often seen as a simple, basic instinct. In fact, it is a gateway to a deeper understanding of the impact of that on our own feelings, energy, and choices have on the world around us. Every day, these animals can teach us that there is a truth hidden behind every behavior, every sign, every gesture is quiet. And when you learn how to interpret these signals, we are able to expand our awareness and our sensibility, and most importantly, our ability to protect those we love, the more aware of it. Because deep down, this is the journey of a connection with the invisible world, is the one that leads to a transformation of the real. One trend that brings us closer to the true essence of what it means to be alive. All of this reinforces the idea that these people, in addition to the companions to be true, they are the true keepers of knowledge and wisdom that we still find out more. And then, when you open the door to the universe's unseen, we have begun to realize that our journey of growth depends on whether you listen carefully. The sensitivity is more accurate, because most of the time, the greatest revelation that is exactly what we can't see them, but they are in some way, they are able to feel and to remind us. In this connection, in this perception, it is one of the biggest events of your life. It is so much more than what our eyes can pick up. And when you attune with this frequency, we have opened a space for deep transformation, which is beyond the understanding of a rational, opening the heart, a truth that was always there, waiting to be discovered. Right now, I want you to go deep into this subject. It is because of this connection the dogs seem to have with the environment around him to reveal a truth is hidden that very few are able to understand or accept it. When we think about the sensitivity of these animals is often limited in this capacity, his loyalty, or the instinct for self-protection. But it is a far more complex and profound than we can imagine. It's almost as if they were a kind of radar, the emotional and energetic sensitivity, which is beyond the understanding of a rational human being. And it is this heightened awareness is what enables them to detect subtle changes in the world around them, such as vibrations in the soil, changes in energy from the environment, or even changes in the electromagnetic field. That is, to us invisible or visible. It is for this reason that, in many of the stories, the feelings, they appear as true messengers, able to alert you to situations that have not yet shown any signs of physical or visible. To deepen this understanding, we see that the sensitivity isn't something that appears out of nowhere. It is the result of an evolution in the sensory and emotional that these animals have developed over thousands of years of living with us. This development is truly a bridge to a world that wanders between the visible and the invisible, in a universe of information, which, if we can learn to read, you can open our minds to a new understanding of the protection, care for, and even how to improve your own perception of reality. When a dog feels an earthquake or a threat, he is nothing more than a basic instinct. But in responding to a signal that is, in the majority of the time, it is hidden to our understanding of humor. And then, when we meet in these stories, we are invited to reflect on our own personal journey of transformation. How can we increase our sensitivity and to open up space for a much deeper connection with the one that's in addition to the information? How can we learn to listen to the subtle signals that we send them, whether they are related to changes in emotional reactions, energy, or environmental? It's a question that challenges our way of thinking because often we are so stuck in a routine and the urgency of our daily decisions that we forget to pay attention to the little clues in which you can make all the difference. On these tracks, more often than not, come in words or actions, whether express, but for a feeling, a gut instinct that comes from within, a sort of quiet voice that only the beings, the more sensitive they can pick up. This kind of perception, he reveals that the real transformation happens when we learn to listen more carefully and rely on your intuition. Because you are, in essence, the sensitivity of these animals to carry, this is the manifestation of wisdom, which transcends all understanding, logical and rational, with a connection to a dimension that is the most subtle of the universe. In this connection, he invites us to reflect on the impact that our own thoughts and emotions have on the world around us, and that energy is the influence behind the scenes of our reality. When you notice that your dog can pick up on these vibrations, we can begin to understand that the protection, safety, security, and the cure is also related to that invisible world, which many times we know nothing about. On the basis of this understanding, and don't ignore how much of this sensitivity, it is a powerful tool for transformation. She is challenging us to expand our awareness, develop a new mindset that values the intangible, that which cannot be seen but can be felt. And in doing so, we make room for the revelations that will transform our lives, bringing greater clarity, more empathetic and more true with all of us. This is a journey of discovery takes us to an understanding of the truth which is hidden by the back of the behavior of these beings to go beyond the knee-jerk reaction. It's a demonstration that there are a multitude of signals, the messaging, and the power that is always there, waiting for you. Learn how to interpret them. And in doing so, we come to understand that the real protection and the real progress will depend, too often, to listen more deeply, a sensitivity. For example, we connect you with the most subtle of our lives. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because of the sensitivity of the dog to go beyond the basic instinct reveals the true door to a world of perceptions of what little you have access to. When we begin to understand that these animals can pick up vibrations, energy, or subtle changes in the environment and our understanding of the world, and it changes them completely. It is not a matter of allegiance and the protection, but to a link that works in the frequency of the unseen, in the symphony, is one of the signs, that is, if we learn to listen to, are able to transform our way of life. For each behavior, each look, each movement, Jumpy the dog, it becomes an expression of the truth that is hidden, in a communication which goes beyond words. And the date of such communication, it is often the one who saves us, protects us from something we can't perceive with the senses in common. After all, it is the impact of these perceptions. It goes far beyond what we can imagine. It's an exchange of energies, a sign that it reveals an ancient lore, in a form of intelligence, which in turn calls us to transform within, awakening to a new way of understanding, of respect, care, and empathy with the world around us. To deepen this understanding, we realize that behind-the-scenes insight is not limited to this. They also carry the entire story of change, of adaptation. The sensitivity was improved from generation to generation. It is as if these animals were in some way guardians of the truth that is hidden, able to perceive that which is beyond our human limitations. And in doing so, they invite us to reflect on the impact of one's own thoughts, emotions, and decisions that are in the attendance of the world around us. Each of the feelings of anxiety, fear, or hope, it generates vibrations that can be understood by those animals are sentient beings, which acts as a true catalyst for a transformation to a more in-depth. When they show signs of warning, it is not just a knee-jerk reaction, but the response from the info that we are still learning to understand. In this connection, therefore, it is not a matter of chance, but an exchange of energy, which reveals the complexity of the emotional intelligence and sensory disabilities that we are only beginning to be explored here. This revelation takes us on a journey of self-discovery in which we learn that our transformation is dependent on a more attentive listening, openness to that which is the subtle and unseen. It is as if, in the development of this sensitivity, you could access the layer of reality that helps us to make decisions more in line with the impact that we make on the world and the people around you. A look behind the scenes of this connection to show that the universe is full of signs and messages that too often take for granted because we are stuck in a routine that fast to a mindset that values reason above all else. But when we allow ourselves to listen to it more closely, we realize that these signs are all there, waiting for us to decipher them. They provide an opportunity for evolution, a transformation that goes beyond the physical, striking at the heart of our work, putting us in line with the truth hidden. That is, If we can learn to read, you can change our whole view of the world. And with this understanding reveals to us that the dogs are, in essence, you are more than just fellow believers. Rather, they are the messengers of an ancient wisdom, will enable us to raise awareness about the impact of our actions and emotions. They will show us the way to true transformation happens when we learn to listen to those signals and to trust our own intuition, even when it seems to run away to the understanding of humor. When we realize that every action of our pet, it's a gateway to a universe that is more subtle, and we opened up the space to connect more fully and deeply into your life. Well, we understand that our journey of evolution, it is not only a quest for knowledge of the external, but also because of a sensitivity, for example, be able to grasp what is beyond the surface. After all, a behind the scenes of all of this history reveals to us a truth that has always been there, invisible to the eyes. But our dogs seem to be captured with remarkable ease. This perception of the impact, it's a gateway to a world of revelation, of discovery, which they can change our minds and lead us to a life that is aligned with the impact of our thoughts, emotions, and attitudes that lead to the universe around us. And then, when you open the door, we start to realize that the real transformation happens when we learn to listen to that which is invisible. When you believe in the wisdom of our four-legged companions carry within themselves, and that often it is our own, to go on a journey of evolution to a more conscious lifestyle. I now want to go more in depth on this subject. It is because of this connection, is that the dogs have to do with the vibrations of the atmosphere, reveals a new dimension of awareness that goes above and beyond what we could ever imagine. When we think about the sensitivity of these animals are often, but our first impression is that they are reacting to what is tactile, smell, sound, or movement. But in fact, there is a layer of a more subtle kind of language that they are able to pick, and what is the hidden behind the scenes of what we call reality. It's almost as if they were to have access to a wealth of information that we, in our limitations, which have not yet been able to decipher it completely. This power supply may be linked to the climate, the changes in the field, the vibrations propagate in the ground, or to the waves of consciousness that, in a way, they are able to tune into. And you have the capacity to read. It looks like magic is actually a manifestation of the emotional intelligence and sensory disabilities which has evolved over thousands of years of living with us. This is the evolution of sensory, and is a true map of ancient wisdom that often remains hidden from our rational world. When a dog feels an earthquake or a threat, it's not just responding to your instinct, but to respond to the signals that communicate using vibrations, energies, and frequencies which are beyond our reach. It is as if he had an antenna on a direct connection with the invisible world, is able to capture what we cannot hear, see, or feel with our senses have in common. More than just a knee-jerk reaction, is that this is an expression of a feeling that is deeper in the understanding that there is a truth hidden behind all of the things that we perceive on the surface. This truth is hidden. It's a sort of message to be silent, to a revelation that if we learn to read, you can help us to take decisions, to act with more empathy, and to align our energy to the impact that we make on the world. When we understand it in depth, we realized that the connection with the unseen, it is not a coincidence, but it's a bridge to a new way of perception, which may turn the whole of our life's journey. The bridge leads us to reflect on how well we are stuck in a limited view that appreciates the value of only that which is visible and tangible, as in the universe, and the signs and messages that are all around us remains unnoticed. A look behind the scenes of this sensitivity show that there is an ongoing exchange of information, which has happened way too many times to be silent, but which has had a huge impact on our ability to protect, decision-making, and changes to them. It's as if our dogs were bearers of an ancient wisdom. We are able to grasp the power of the environment, and to read out the signals from the cosmos, and to warn us of the impending dangers, even before they manifest themselves in a visible way. This realization, for example, seems almost mystical, invites us to a deeper reflection on how we can develop our own feelings and to broaden our way of thinking. After all, if they are able to detect subtle changes in the environment, and to protect us. Why can't we learn to tune into our senses, the more internal? You may, if you notice that it's the true transformation happens when we connect with that vibration is more subtle approach, we can open up the space for new understanding, one that will help us to make choices that are more in line with the impact that we have on the world. This is the journey of an expansion of perception, leads us to understand that a lot of times the truth hidden within our reach, but we need a closer look, an attention to the most sensitive, with a provision of the trust in what you feel, beyond what we can explain to you why it's beautiful. And in the process, behind the scenes of our own minds, our emotions, and of the invisible world are found to be in a never-ending source of revelations that can help us drive toward true transformation. To understand all of this makes us think about how much you have had to accept that there are limits to our understanding, when, in reality, these boundaries are often created by a mindset that values only in the original negatives. When we reach this understanding, we see that the signs that your dog pick up are connected to the network, the information, that it connects us with the essence of the universe. It is a network that is always there, waiting for you to learn how to interpret it. Every behavior, every reaction, every time a dog shows a high sensitivity, it is a clue that there's something more than what the eye can see. A truth is hidden. That is, if we can learn to listen and trust us to help you create a mindset that is more open, in a posture that is more empathetic and closer to the truth to the world. In this connection, in turn, leads him to a path of self-discovery and of evolution, which becomes, for to acknowledge the loop can be a powerful tool, capable of opening the door to a broader understanding and a more profound impact on our actions and emotions can have on everything around us. And when you realize this, we can begin to understand that the journey of transformation is not just external, but a discovery in the interior, where every sign, every vibration, every message is silent. You have the power to bring us to a new reality. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line because that's finely tuned sense of the dogs, and an ability to capture the energy and vibration signals are so subtle, it reveals a truth that is too often escapes our eyes, but which, in essence, is present all the time. When you look at these animals more closely, we see that the sensitivity is not something that is random or surface, but it's a way of connecting with a wider dimension, where the invisible is manifested by signs that would seem to crack. And in this connection, it often goes unnoticed by us. It is a true port of entry for a more in-depth understanding of the impact of our emotions, our decisions, and our energy use has on the universe around us. It was as if the dog were to be small and mirrors of an ancient wisdom, and capable of reflecting the truth to hide that he is hidden beneath the layers of the routine, a distraction, and a mindset that values the only reason. If you think that sensory perception is much more than a knee-jerk reaction, it is a manifestation of one's emotional intelligence, which manifests itself in his way of being, of acting, and to be alert to. When they show signs of anxiety, and to calm the sudden, it is not only a behavior that is random, but it's a reading of a network of information that we have. We are still learning to understand. These signals are silent. They carry a message which tells you about the power of the moment and the vibe of the environment. On the presence of such a truth is hidden, and if we learn to read, you can help us make choices that are more aware of it. The decisions which often involve the impact that we make in our own lives and in the lives of those around us. And when you think about it, we realized that the impact of the dog, he challenges us to expand our own minds, to seek out a connection in the most true, that which is invisible to the eye, but it beats strong at the heart of it all. Because it's the true transformation happens when we allow ourselves to listen to that quiet voice that echoes in the signs of the world around us, as we learn to trust our intuition and how to interpret those messages that come out of the frame of reality. Each of the behavior of the animal, each look, each movement, more rapid or more sedate, it's a track that is a truth that is hidden, a revelation that could change our way of seeing the universe, to decide our own actions, as well as to understand the impact of it all on our journey of evolution. If you look at it more closely, we find that this sensitivity is also a kind of map, a tool of self-discovery that shows us where our boundaries, our doubts, and our potential. When you learn to notice these signs, we can begin to understand that it is our connection to the world is not limited by what we can see or touch, but it extends to this invisible energy, that everything is connected. I'll look behind the scenes of this perception and show that when we develop our sensitivity, we were able to gain access to higher levels of understanding, empathy, and accountability. And that responsibility is not only with others, but with all of the impact that our actions have on the web of energy which constitute the life. So this is a journey of expansion, sensory. It is a search for truth. A more comprehensive understanding of our development relies on listening, attention, openness to the subtle, often hidden behind the appearance of the surface. And then, in a movement to open our eyes to this reality, it is clear that the dogs are, in your deepest core, you are the true keepers of the wisdom in it. He challenges us to understand what is beyond our senses, and conventional are able to pick. They show us that, when we develop our sensitivity, we can gain access to a source of revelation to which we connect directly to the impact of our decisions and emotions in the web of the universe. Each and every sign, every behavior, every moment of disquiet or in the quiet, it's an opportunity to understand that there is a truth that is hidden, a message. We learn how to interpret it carefully. It will help you to create a more self-aware, more empathetic, and more honest with everything around us. And in this connection, it seems to be so simple in appearance, it is, in fact, a standing invitation to Ampliemo's journey of self-discovery, to open space for the revelation of the truth that was always there, invisible, but it beats strong in the heart and soul of our four-legged friends. Because, at the bottom of this sensitivity, it is a gateway to a new awareness of the impact we can have on the world, and a powerful tool of transformation that leads to a mindset that is more open, more empathetic, and more in line with the true essence of life. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. Because of the sensitivity of the extraordinary dogs, it's often overlooked in your daily routine. It reveals a truth that can completely transform your perception about the world and about ourselves. When we begin to understand that these animals have a connection with an invisible layer of energy, vibes, and subtle signals, we realized that our journey of self-discovery, you can take it a step further. In this connection, it is not just a matter of gut instinct or protecting, but it is a gateway to a deeper understanding of the forces that are at work all around us, often hidden below the surface of everyday life. It's as if these people were true messengers of the universe. We are able to grasp the frequency of events that have not yet manifested in a tangible way, but are now in the pipeline in the field of subtle. And it is this heightened awareness, when raised in the U.S., it could open the door to a new way of understanding where our consciousness becomes more and more sensitive to the messages the universe sends our way. Notice that the hidden layer, it is also a call to us. We may ask to what extent we are keen to understand the reality. It goes far beyond what our eyes can see or the mind can rationalize it. There is a wealth of information that is often hidden away under the vibrations of the atmosphere, the energy, the people, and to the frequency of the thoughts we send out. The dog, with their sensitivity, they seem to grasp this information with an ease that defies the conventional explanations. When they show signs of anxiety or low tide, it is not just a reaction to that simple, but it's a redecodes energy, which tells us what is to come, the things that have not yet occurred, but which is now in the realm of possibility. Thus, the connection to the unseen, we show that our decision-making, emotions, and even the impact that we make on the world, it can be expected to be influenced by the network of signs so subtle that many times we ignore because we're stuck in our routine just as fast. To deepen this understanding, we see that the sensitivity of the dog is also an opportunity for you to expand your own perception, to develop a mindset that is more open and receptive to the messages that the universe has to offer. After all, if they are able to grasp that which is beyond what the human senses can perceive, why can't we learn to listen to that quiet voice? This one-day transformation is the development of listening, attention, and attention to detail that often seem insignificant, but they carry a load of information that can change the course of our decision-making. It's as if every gesture, every look, every movement of your four-legged friend to be a part of the puzzle that will reveal a deeper truth, a revelation that would lead to a broader understanding of our own existence. In the process, it is clear that in this connection, the invisible is not something that is unique to the dog, but it's a possibility that we all need to explore, to make room for sensitivity, for example, that will allow us to realize a look behind the scenes of our reality. When we learn how to interpret these signs, you start to realize that there is an ancient wisdom that lives and breathes in all around us, waiting and hoping for someone who is willing to listen to it. This knowledge, many a times, it is hidden in the light of an atmosphere, the vibe of a conversation, or even on the intuition that comes from within you. The dog, with his perception to be pure, we show that it is possible that this connection is a connection to a transformation that goes beyond just the physical aspects, reaching to the very core of our being. So all of this day, in the expansion of sensory, it is an opportunity for us to align with the truth that is hidden, and understand the impact of our emotions and the choices you have on the web of energy which surrounds us, and to learn how to use this insight to create a more aware, more empathetic, and more in tune with the universe. And in so doing, we can begin to understand that true transformation happens when we have room for such a connection is more subtle. It reveals to us the deepest truths that are always there, but they often remain invisible to your eyes, and your thoughts are limited. If you've read this far, you probably not know that there is much more to the relationship with our dogs just for fun or a company. These beings are amazing, have a sensitivity that is often overlooked, but they can teach us how to see the world in a more profound way and aware of it. This is an exchange of power, signals and messages are subtle. It's an opportunity for us to connect with wisdom. The greater is the rest of us, waiting to be heard. If these accounts by tapping on the sensitivity of our four-legged friends came up to you, just subscribe to the channel. Therefore, you will stay up to date with the content. It helps you to zoom in on this insight, a better understanding of these signals, and to strengthen our connection with the world of animals. Leave a comment below saying, "I'm with you till the end," or any phrase to the effect that you have come to the end. This will help you to create an exchange, light, and truth, and it shows that you value the learning process and self-reflection. And of course, if you get this message it made sense and gives us a like on the video, it's a way to make this connection is what we are building here. Every gesture, every word, every story shared, it is an opportunity to increase our sensitivity and to learn from these beings are so special. Oh, and there's a video right here on the side which complements this subject. You can click and keeps me there because I don't think that you will like to explore more of this universe. After all, the journey to understand beyond what the eyes see, it's a journey worth taking, and I'm here to walk you through each step.